was just like...
As if we were at the same gig.
That is crazy. That is actually wild.
I love that so much.
I love that as well. I really love that.
We probably walked past each other.
Probably.
No, we did.
That's crazy. What year was that?
I would have been 14 then, so like 2014. 15.
So I would have been 14 as well, because 2014.
Oh, that's so cute. Like, I've never made anything like that before, and I definitely want to make more stuff like that. But I don't know where it came from. Sometimes I just sit down and I'll just make something in like a few hours, and I'm like, oh, that's just a full tune there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I also sing sometimes, like, oh, what are they called now? It's like a summit scale.
Arpeggio?
No. It's like a it's like the Middle Eastern kind of the scales.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know what it's called. Like something like no.
I like that.
Yeah, not in like a proper crackheady way, do you know what I mean? But like...
I mean, to be fair, I've heard people say like they want their music to heal and be like a medicine, but I've never heard anyone say pharmacy, like, outright.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that though.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Salo and you're tuned into After the Applause.
This is After the Applause. Hiya guys, happy Monday. This is episode 23 of After the Applause and I am Saoirse Marie. If you are new here, welcome. After the Applause is a podcast highlighting the underground music scene in the north of England, specifically the north of England, and looking at exploring and discovering new artists, new events that have been around for a while and what they're trying to do to help platform and promote grassroots. And also talking to people that work within the live music industry, getting to learn a bit more about what they do and how things run behind the scenes, really. So if you're listening and you work in live music and events in the north of England, please get in contact with us on Instagram at _ATA podcast, and we'll set up a little interview and you can share your story. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see, but I've got a little sign in the corner over there that my sister got for me. It says Saoirse Marie on air, so that's a nice little feature to add to the video. Today's guest is another artist who is on the rise, if she's not on the rise already. I had the honour of having Salo on. Now, Salo started her career as a drum and bass jungle DJ and started producing music in drum and bass and jungle, still using her vocals because she was classically trained and trained with piano, and using her kind of soulful vocals within those tracks. Then she started to produce jazz and soul music and realised this is her jam, and that is what she's starting to lean into at the moment. So in this conversation, we spoke about the transition from drum and bass jungle to jazz and soul, how she infuses the two together, and how people have been reacting to this transition of hers. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Of course, the first all-important question I asked was what gig she went to, and I was so shocked by her answer.
That I ever went to, ever?
Yeah, ever. Or the one that you remember the most that really stuck with you?
The first one I went to, I was 14 years old, and it was actually a Tom Odell concert.
No way.
Yeah,
the one at was it? It wasn't O2 Apollo, was it?
I think it was. Yeah,
I was there.
No way.
Yeah, I was.
Oh my god.
No way. I love Tom Odell.
I love Tom Odell so much. That was when he made that album Long Way Down.
Yes.
Oh my god, unreal. And I was watching him playing piano, singing, and something just like I don't know, there was just a little spark in me. I was like, I need to be doing this. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, I used to play piano anyway on stage, but then I was like, when he was singing and playing, I was like, and then he was on stage like that, I was like, there's just something about this that resonates with me. And I was just like in awe.
Yeah.
And that just changed.
The whole energy and atmosphere.
No, literally.
Salo, you're a singer, pianist, composer, producer, DJ.
Yeah.
How long have you been DJing for?
I taught myself when I was like 17, 18, so around then. And I'm 25 now, so like 8 years or something I've been DJing.
Okay, amazing. And obviously you started playing piano when you were 7, you were telling me earlier. So has your DJing kind of helped shape you as a musician?
In a sense, I don't know if it shaped me. I think it's just the type of music I play that's shaped my sound, and like raving and listening to a lot of jungle. And that's definitely had some influence in the songs I make now. Obviously, I put vocals over like drum and bass and jungle anyway, but I think with my soul and jazz, it definitely has like a little hint of it in there.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, in a way, it has shaped it in that sense.
Because it's also kind of a different style of performing in front of people. It opened you up to a whole different sort of audience and
definitely. I think
likes and dislikes.
When I first started, I was always like really shy with performing. I never wanted to sing in front of people because I just start crying. And I think when I started DJing at 17, it put me more into the spotlight in that sense, because I'd do like concerts, like piano concerts when I was little, like 11, 12, 13. Well, maybe like 11, 12 or something like that. But I would just be like there at the piano, just not looking at anyone. Whereas with DJ, just on stage in front of a huge crowd, like you're looking out as well, and it kind of gave me that confidence.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to start with this, and then suddenly that kind of gave me the confidence to then start singing on stage, because then I'd start grabbing the mic whilst I'm DJing and singing in front of people.
Oh, amazing.
I think the first time I actually did sing in front of a crowd was on Randall's set at Manchester Academy, and it was when I'd just released Keep You Round. And I'd met him in the green room. Chimpo introduced me to him. And he was so sick. It was just so nice. And Chimpo said, you best watch out for her on USB. And imagine, I'm out my mind at this point. I've walked on stage. I said to the stage manager, ask him if he's got Keep You Round, because I want to sing the tune. Because Slay was on the mic as well, MCing. And she's come back like, he's not got the tune, I was like, well, I've got the tune. So I kind of just like ran past her. So she's like, what are you doing? And I've gone up to him and I'm like, can you play Keep You Around? And he just like creasing. He was like, I've been told about this. And then he was like, go on then, just I plugged my USB in, and he stuck he played the tune, and it was in front of like 2,000, 3,000 people. I think like that's, I don't know what the cap is for Manchester Academy, but the room was full. There was like a couple thousand people there. And I was in like this gold glittery dress. I've got the video on my Insta actually. I've got this gold like short glittery dress on, little fur coat. And I walked up and I'm like, I just grabbed the mic and I just started singing Keep You Around. I was like, this is the first time I've sang on stage and it's this environment.
This many people as well.
So I was like, I need to just throw myself in the deep end, which I love doing, because then after that you just feel so much better about yourself. I actually came off the stage and cried because I was like, as if I've just done that.
I mean, that is insane.
Yeah.
Good for you. And considering that's the first time you sang in front of people, and that many people is wild.
Yeah, and it was just like, something just clicked then as well. I was just like in front of them, like singing. I was like, this isn't even that bad. I'm actually enjoying this. Like, this is sick. I felt like at home on stage, like singing to people. So yeah.
Like you said there, you do a lot of kind of jungle, drum and bass. You started producing music in that kind of genre.
Yeah.
And now your music currently, you've moved into kind of jazz and soul music. Do you use a lot of features within each genre to kind of blend and infuse styles in your music now?
There's just a lot of things that I pull from different genres. And there is a tune that I've made, my next single coming out, called Set Me Free. So I've done like a soul verse with a jungle chorus. And it just sounds, I don't know, just the way that I've arranged it and everything, I'm proper excited about releasing it, because it's like bringing in the jungle scene and the soul scene together. And the jungle has that kind of like Manchester sound to it a little bit as well, which I'm like, I don't know, it just feels new. Like I've never made anything like that before, and I definitely want to make more stuff like that. But I don't know where it came from. Sometimes I just sit down and I'll just make something in like a few hours and I'm like, that's just a full tune there. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I'm like blending in stuff. And there's a few tunes where, like some soul tunes I worked on with Chimpo and Dub Physics. I think my first soul single that I released, Pride, which I made with them too, which is a really cool tune. I think there's like little like dub sirens in there as well.
Okay,
but it's like a soul, like hip hoppy kind of tune.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of like the features that I pull into it, and like we'll pull into it and stuff like that. So yeah.
The way that you kind of blend musical styles, do you feel like, I'm guessing you're part of like the kind of soul R&B communities in Manchester or jazz communities in Manchester, but you're also part of the drum and bass jungle communities. Do you see a blend within those music communities as well as a blend within the music?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've got like a band now, and all of them are six jazz musicians, but then also love jungle and drum and bass as well. Like they're all ravers.
Okay, amazing.
So I'm like, this is sick. So there's definitely a crossover there.
Okay. Since doing your kind of jazz and soul music and performing live, you've obviously performed live solo and also with a band.
Yeah.
How do you compare the two? Like, what's it like to perform solo compared to performing with a band?
Sometimes it feels quite lonely up on the stage on my own. I think when you've got a band there, you can just vibe off each other and it's just like your mates just jamming out and it's just a cool vibe. I think it's a bit harder with a band though, because like you're also you're focusing on your singing and playing piano, but then also you have to listen out for the band behind you and stay in time with everyone. So my brain's like doing this all at the same time, whereas when I'm on my own, it's more like focused on honing on what I'm doing. But I think it's quite fun because my brain bounces around like that anyway, so I quite like that I've got lots of things to like pay attention to. And then sometimes some of the band members will like add in a few things, like improv kind of stuff, and I'm like, they're sat there on the keys like, this sounds sick. I wouldn't want to be just me on stage, like on a huge stage. I'd want it to be like full, do you know what I mean? Because it would feel too empty for me. But I really like the proper intimate ones, like solo with me and George, who's my trumpet player. But yeah.
That's the first time I saw you perform, and that was quite an intimate setting. In that performance, you really captivated the audience.
Thank you.
Like, all the artists that night were insane. But when you performed at the end, it was just silence. You said earlier that you used to get scared performing and singing in front of people. How did you kind of grow that skill to be able to kind of get personal and captivate the audience like that?
When I used to like DJ, grab the mic and stuff, I think I was trying to be like this like hype kind of thing, because I always used to see MCs on the mic and be like, everyone get your hands in the air and that. And then I was like, this isn't me. Like, I just don't think that works for me. I was like, I'm trying to be someone that I'm not. I'm not really that me trying to get everyone to like get hyped and everything. And I think the way that I realised I should do it is just sat down as if I'm just talking to a mate. Like, it's like everyone's just in my living room or like my room or something, and I'm just literally like chatting to them. And that's kind of how I do it. So it doesn't feel like there's just a bunch of strangers watching me. I'm just going to invite everyone into my space and then just talk to them and crack a few jokes. That's why I like the intimate ones, because I feel like I can really grab everyone. I used to be proper like shy with it and kind of like rushing through the speaking, and then I just like carry on with like the tunes, and you can just tell that I was a bit nervous. But I think now I just take my time with it, and then sometimes I'll remember little sentences that I should say, and sometimes, like when I do first get up onto the stage or I sit down at the piano and stuff, I am proper like getting nervous, and 15 minutes before I'm just sat there like staring into space and like trying to get in the zone, and then I'll just take a deep breath and I'll go, well, you're gonna have to do it now, you're here. So then I just kind of like get in that mode.
We mentioned earlier that you don't just sing, perform, play piano, you produce a lot of your own music as well. Did you learn to produce music because, I mean, especially being part of drum and bass and jungle, those are quite male-dominated sectors of the industry. Did you feel like you had to learn to produce music to kind of prove yourself as a musician, as an artist, or did you just do it for the fun?
I think at the start, yeah, because I was starting to DJ, and then I kept seeing like everyone that would DJ would also produce their own tunes. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna produce jungle, and I kind of wanted to anyway. I was like, I need to produce jungle, drum and bass, and then I'd be producing it, and it just was like, I don't know, it just didn't work. I didn't like producing it, and I think everyone in the scene, like not everyone, but there's a few like producers and how people produce things, and everyone gets so like, oh, but you have to do this with the snare and do this with the hand. And I'm just like, I can't be arsed, you know what I mean? It's just like, it takes all the fun out of it. And some people love all the techie stuff. I'm not really like that. Like, as soon as I start doing loads of technical stuff, and like, I'm not really big on sound design either, And I think when I start focusing on that, it kind of takes the creativity out of it for me. So then I stop focusing on the melodies and kind of go more into all this like non-melodic stuff, and it's just not for me. So then I kind of just left it to the side. But then I realised, I actually really enjoy producing soul and jazz, and that's kind of like what stuck out, and it's actually what I do best, I think, compared to like jungle. I've produced jungle before, but I don't know, it just has to sound a certain way, or like it has to be at a certain level for it to actually sound decent, like with the sound and everything. Whereas with soul, like, I don't know. But yeah, that's just kind of how like the journey kind of went.
Okay.
But yeah.
And now you're kind of at a stage where you're producing more soul and jazz music. Do you feel like that's starting to come a bit more naturally to you, or?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I stopped doing like classical music and I started getting into raving, doing jungle and stuff, I was like, oh, I'm going to just do this and I'm going to kind of leave piano to the side and the singing. But then I started putting my vocals on jungle, and then it was more soulful. And then I was like, I kind of want to go back to the whole piano stuff and produce more slower tunes. And I think Chimpo and Dub Physics really helped me with that as well, because they were like, oh, we'll do this with you, and we think you should be doing more of this stuff. And I was like, no, you know what? I actually agree. Yeah, I just think when I started making those, it just felt more me. Do you know what I mean? And I do still love jungle, but this just feels like, oh, this is what I was meant to be doing.
Right.
But I like that it came from like jungle as well. So I've got that there, and it just like helps me create more of a unique sound of it.
You're also Georgian. Does that have an influence on your music, your Georgian roots?
Yeah, definitely. Because in Georgia we have this thing called polyharmonies, and they're like there'll be like a group of people stood harmonising with each other. And that's kind of how I do my vocals as well. Like I'll stack loads of harmonies, and I love doing it. And there's a couple of tunes I've made where it's got like this kind of a flute sound of it. It's called a duduki, that's what it is. I've kind of sampled that, put that in. I've sampled like these Georgian drums before. But yeah, I love like drawing in stuff from the music. There's like this Middle Eastern scale. Okay. And there's like notes, and it sounds, sometimes when I'm singing on stage, I think someone actually clocked it. I was singing at Ramona during my set, and someone came over and said it, and I was like, yeah, like that's what I was doing. But I'll just sing naturally like that. I don't know, it just comes natural to me. I do stick with the harmonies a lot, and that's kind of like a staple.
We've spoken about this quite a bit. You started doing DJing, and then you started producing music in drum and bass and jungle, and you are where you are now with soul music and jazz. How has your kind of audience and fan base, if you can call it that, that have been with you since your drum and bass jungle days, how have they been with support or you transitioning to soul and jazz?
It's felt really natural. I always used to think like, oh, what if I start making soul and jazz and stuff? And everyone's like, oh, why is she doing that? Like, she's just stuck to drum and bass. So I was always like worried about that. But you know what? It's got a really good response, and people actually love it. So that's why I'm like, well, that means that the tunes are good, because it doesn't matter if you jump from one genre to the other. If it sounds good, then people will just follow it. Whereas if what you were doing was like, I don't know, not as good as like what you were doing before, then that's when it can get a bit, and then it proper knocks your confidence, and because everyone's just like, just do what you were doing before. You don't, because I see it all the time on like even like big artists. They'll like change a sound, and everyone's like, oh, I wish you were still doing that stuff. Or do you know what I mean? And that's what I just didn't want. But do you know what? People will actually come up to me and say, the drum and bass stuff is sick, but you need to be doing more of this like singing and piano. I'm like, no, that's what I'm doing. And it's just like confirming and giving me more confidence to do
that
more
you're doing
of
the right
that.
thing.
Yeah.
You perform a lot in London as well as Manchester. Also, you collaborate with a lot of artists in London. How does the audience compare energy-wise with London and Manchester, and also collaborating with London artists? What's the music community like down south compared to Manchester?
I think there is a big difference. I think in London, everyone's kind of like out for themselves. But don't get me wrong, there are like proper sick, like sound people in London that I've worked with. But as a whole, don't know, there's just something different about it. And they just, don't know, in Manchester, it's more like a proper community. And I've always said this, everyone just helps each other and people just support you. Whereas in London, don't know. They're just like, it's just not the same vibe, especially like crowds as well. I just hate London crowds. I hate them.
Really?
There's just something about them like, I don't know, maybe hate's a strong word, but everyone from London's just gonna be cussing me out now. No, I don't know, there's just something about it, and like they're just rude. Like the crowd could be rude, whereas in Manchester, like everyone knows each other first of all in the crowds, and even when they don't, it's just more like a less stush environment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And people will chat to you more, you'll have nice conversations, whereas in London, like, they just act like they just hate you from the get-go. There's just nicer people up north.
It's just more welcoming and open.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What are your future plans with your music career?
Well, I've always been very ambitious, so I've got a lot of plans. Hopefully, then it turns into really big plans. But I think I want to do as many gigs that I can with my new band, and just be doing more shows like that, live shows. Like, I love DJing, but that is just, I want to turn that into the main thing now, and definitely release more of my soul music, because I've just got them all stacked now. Working on an EP as well.
Same.
Yeah, so it's like a 4-track EP, maybe 5, I don't know. Maybe a little bonus track in there. But it's like piano and vocals based, pretty much. And I'll be working on the tunes for like years as well. So I'm like, it's obviously time to release a project like that. Yeah, just more stuff like that. And even in the future, maybe not so near future, but I'm working on an album as well. So I've got a few tunes lined up that I'm putting in the album. And I want to call the album It Goes Dark Again. Yeah, I've had that idea since I started making soul tunes. So yeah, just don't know when that's going to be out, but I'm going to focus on the EP for now, and a few more singles before then.
Final question I want to end on is, what is the main purpose of your music and the main message that you want your audiences to get from your music?
The main purpose of my music, I just like people hearing it and then like them getting emotional from it, because it makes they can relate to it. And I don't know, when people come up to me in the crowd after my show and they're like, "Oh, I was crying," I'm like, kind of what I wanted, to be fair. Not in like a proper evil way, but I was like, I want to make music where people like go into like a little bit of a trance, and then they just start seeing like a whole like film in their head, or like a storyline, and something that they can just proper merge with. And I love it when people are like, "Oh, like this has been really getting me through my day," and this tune that I made with 4am crew, apparently they get loads of messages all the time like, "This tune has proper helped me with a lot of things." And I don't know, I love stuff like that. I don't want to be making music that doesn't stick as well. I'd want people to be listening to it years and years and years
Timeless.
later. Yeah, that's kind of what I want. Like,
amazing.
Just timeless tunes. I don't know what the main message is, because a lot of my tunes can be very depressing, and even when I make happy sounding tunes, the lyrics are still a bit depressing. There's just different messages. I think it's more like, whenever something goes on in my life, I'll write about it, and then because I wrote about it, it kind of like puts a little closing thing to it. It kind of helps me heal from it. So I think, do you know what? I actually used to say that I want my tunes to be like a pharmacy. Do you know when it helps you heal? Like, it's just like medicine.
Okay. Can you believe that we were at the same concert at 14 years old? Little Salo and little Saoirse Marie were at the same concert, probably crossed paths, and now crossing paths 10, 11 years later. That is crazy. Also, it was interesting how she said, well, it was an amazing story that she told about the first time she sang in front of people, and it was in front of 2,000 to 3,000 people. Her whole kind of belief system and attitude towards just putting herself in those situations and just throwing herself in is really great, because you just have to be like that with stuff. You can't grow when you're comfortable. I always say that. And the only way you're able to push yourself out of your comfort zone is literally just by forcing yourself out. No one else can do it for you. So it's amazing that she had that mentality with it all, and has that mentality with everything she does. I also think it's great that she's not completely letting go of her drum and bass jungle identity. She's actually using it and infusing it within her music she's making at the moment, and trying to bring new sounds and new music with that. I think that is a really interesting way to go, and obviously her journey is very unique and individual to her, and I think that's what makes her music so unique. This wasn't something that was highlighted within the conversation, and we didn't talk about this heavily, but Salo did mention that when she started to learn to produce, one of the reasons, although she wanted to learn anyway, one of the reasons was that she kind of felt she needed to. And I've seen that a lot with a lot of artists, a lot of DJs, a lot of people that work within the industry now, and especially with women, they feel the need that they have to learn multiple skills in order to kind of be seen and be able to demonstrate how good of an artist and how dedicated of an artist they are. But I wonder why that is. Why do people feel the need to be able to have all these various skills? Does that mean that then their sole purpose, for example, if they're an artist, they're a singer, a vocalist, but they feel like they need to produce their own music, learn multiple instruments to be able to incorporate them in their songs, by learning all of these other skills and putting attention and time into those skills, do you lose kind of the value and the purpose of your main skill? Just a thought to think about. I think outsiders of London all have similar beliefs about London and the music communities within London. They're not very known for being, a community, and although there are great artists there and people that, go against the grain, there is a lot of kind of artists out for themselves. Is that because it is a bigger city? What are all the factors that add to this? Why is it like that? Why are they known to be like that? That is kind of another food for thought for you. I have said this before and I'll say it all the time. I believe that there is space for everyone at the top. Is this just not a belief or prominent belief down south? I don't know. Londoners, tell me. Keep an eye out for Salo's EP coming out later this year and her album, which will come in the near future. You've heard it here first, that it's going to be called It Goes Dark Again. So if you see any adverts or any captions like that she posts on her Instagram, you know the album's coming soon.
I've got a video coming out on Thursday. It's my new tune, Give Me Time. I filmed a live session with my whole band.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's all recorded professionally. I got High Productions filming it, and the band is sick. So Georgian on trumpet, Eric Ross on bass, Mike Baines on guitar, and Lewis Kennedy on drums. And it's just sick. Johnny Oppo helped us record it. And you know what? I just looked at it. I was like, wow, this is actually the biggest production I've done so far for a video. And I just sat there just looking at it. I was like, no way, because I funded it myself as well. I was like, oh, as if I've done this.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's just like, we all just smashed it. It's just sick.
Looking at that video, is it kind of one of those moments where you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this now, like I'm actually doing what
yeah,
I wanted?
Literally, like when I got sent back the final draft of it all, I was just looking at it, I was like, I just literally couldn't stop smiling. Because I was like, I don't know, because I didn't think that I'd be doing this, like, even like 5 years ago. And I'm looking at it, I was like, wow, this all looks so professional. Like, I feel like an actual artist now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sick.
Give Me Time, the music video, produced by High Productions, is out on YouTube. I'll add the link in the description for you guys to go check it out. It's incredible. I've watched it about 5 times already. The whole production of it is great, and all the musicians in it are incredible. So yeah, go and check that out. That is all from me this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this week's interview as much as I did, and liked the kind of new genre we went into there with a blend of drum and bass, jungle, jazz and soul. Definitely go check out Salo at salo.mcr. I'll add it in the description as well, so you can go check out her socials. And thank you so much to Salo for joining me on the show today. It was so interesting to hear your perspective and your unique journey through music. And yeah, I'll see you all guys next week on After the Applause. Bye.